Hello and welcome to another edition of UFO Video Addicts. Let me give you a preview of what I got coming up in this video. The first is this, big, huge event that happened on Sunday night. It's the NewsNation interview with David Grush, who was a UFO whistleblower. He's being interviewed by Coulthart. And definitely is making waves because a lot of other, well, not mainstream, but a lot of other YouTubers are talking about this. And of course, the mainstream media is completely staying away from this. Also have this video that I found on Reddit of, again, one of these streaking meteors or fireballs. A lot of people want to say that these are meteors, but no, I've seen too many of these things. They're not falling horizontally, they're not falling to the ground. They're flying horizontally across the sky, leaving a streak. So I'm going to assume that there must be, some type of craft. And then here's this video again. I know I've played this before, but I wanted to add this because I actually found this other video here. Just want to do a comparison. Now this is, what I use as my avatar or my profile image. This is the Skinny Bob, and this is actually a enhanced version of the original. And it says, you can see it brightened up at maximums, eyes almost invisible. But it's only 46 seconds long. And then this is another one that I came across. Now this one, I'm pretty sure on my old channel I showed this video, but it's this. Yeah, this one is generally hard to find. But again, this is only 1:08 long. Actually, it's less than that because a lot of it is just text at the beginning telling you what this is about. So we'll look at that. Also have this video here of, I think her name is Rosin. Yeah, Rosin. She used to work for Werner von Braun, and she revealed during the first disclosure project that Stephen Greer presented in 2001. And, he just recently had another event, another disclosure event, but it's just I know that some of the things that he says are just so unbelievable. I didn't even bother watching his, the one that he just recently had, because he's working with like Third Phase of the Moon. Not to say that they're, Third Phase of the Moon, they do have some decent videos, but when they first came out, anything that moved in the sky they claimed was a UFO. And and then he's saying a bunch of other stuff about these Tic Tac crafts are actually our government, and they use it to smuggle drugs and stuff like that. And I can't buy that. Oh yeah, and then his biggest one is that there are no bad aliens out there. There are no malevolent aliens out there, which is just ridiculous to even consider. So it's hard for me to spend the time to watch his second disclosure project because my eyes, again, he's lost credibility, but I can't take anything away from he did open the door with this disclosure project, and he had two disclosure project presentations. But anyways, we'll take a look at what Rosin has to say here, which she talks about when she was working for Werner von Braun. He told her that that our government was going to have all of these events that would eventually lead up to an alien invasion. So look at that. And also have these a couple of videos about these documentaries. This is it's an hour and 40-minute documentary by James Fox. This is called The Phenomenon, which came out in 2020. So we'll take a look at some of that. And also this is just a short little video about these 12 alleged discoveries that suggest the existence of giants. Now, some of these I'm pretty positive aren't real. Like this one here. Yeah, this, it looks like a giant foot, but it's too perfect. You know what I mean? When people don't, when you're standing or when you're walking, this isn't the type of impression you'll leave. Not to say, I've done these videos before where I have shown footprints that look like obvious footprints, and that you can tell that, like this one here. This looks more real. This looks like an actual footprint, or than this one here. Because you can see on this footprint, the person was obviously walking, because if you were to walk through soft mud today, right? And you were to take a step into some, some soft, sticky, somewhat firm mud, right? The mud would squeeze through your toes just like this. So that's why I think, these are real, but some of these other ones, like these, they're not. These are too stylized. And then some of these other images they have of these, supposed, like this one here, I don't think this is real. I mean, first of all, it just it just doesn't look real. And I know for a fact because I saw the website. I went to the website. There was some website that held a contest to see, who could create the best, most authentic looking images, right, of giants. Again, but I'm also pretty positive that whoever held this contest, they did it in order to try and add or insert, right, questionable images into images that are real or evidence that does show that there were giants. And again, you have to remember, let's say 100, 200 years ago, the average height isn't the same as the average height today. I think the average height today is like 5'10", 5'9", maybe even from 5'9" to 5'11", whereas 100 years ago, it might have been 5'7", 5'8", and then you go back further in time and could have been even less. So anyone who was, let's say, over 6'5", over 6'8", would be considered a giant. But again, not to say that there weren't evidence of people who were like over 12 feet tall or even taller, because I've seen what I believe to be authentic evidence of beings that were like over 25 feet tall. But anyways, we'll look at that, and then let's see. I got this clip here this is from like 10 years ago. This is Medvedev when he was the prime minister of Russia. He was asked by a reporter, about aliens visiting Earth, and he relates to her that every leader of a country, or I mean, I don't know if it's every, but at least in Russia, that they get a book that explains to them about the alien presence on Earth, and and then he mentions that if you want to know more, you can watch the Russian documentary Men in Black. And, a lot of people again conflate it with the Men in Black movie with Will Smith and what's his name, Tommy. Oh, I can't think of his last name. Anyways, you know what movie I'm talking about. Yeah, a lot of people conflate it, but the Russians actually put out a documentary called Men in Black that he mentions in here. And this is the actual documentary, Men in Black Russian UFO. And I believe it's in Russian, but I don't know if there are English subtitles. So look at that, and of course the link will be in it because I'm not going to play the whole thing. So if you want to check it out, you can. And then here's another interesting image that I found on my Facebook of this opening in the side of a mountain. I mean, look at this thing. Look at where this thing is looking. Now, again, I'm not 100% positive this is a real image, though, either. But if this is real, this doesn't look like something that was created, in the modern day or even 100 years ago. Like, how could people even like 100 years ago have created? I mean, it's just, I find it hard to believe. Not to say that it couldn't happen or it wasn't possible. I mean, and, there might be an explanation for this. I don't know, because there isn't any information on this, so I don't really know the context. But anyways, it'll be in there. Now, I also have this article here about a 50-year-old report backs Pentagon whistleblower's claim on UAP. And then here's an article, again, the same Pentagon whistleblower. I'm telling you, man, this guy, doing that NewsNation interview is really opening up a lot of doors, or opening Pandora's box, or whatever you want to call it. But to hear, yeah, Pentagon whistleblower says the Vatican is aware of the existence of non-human intelligences and helped the U.S. retrieve the downed UFO from Italian dictator Mussolini at the end of World War II. Now, on my previous video, I did provide a link. I don't remember if it was a video or an article about the craft that was picked up in Magenta, Italy in 1933. But yeah, so anyways, yeah, that the Vatican has known about it. And then here's this video here. This is from 10 years ago. And you know what is very interesting, that this guy here, he has 85 subscribers. This video's been up for 10 years and it only has 1.6 thousand views. Again, like I said, right? YouTube will not promote any videos that confirm the existence of aliens. If you want to say, oh, that they're from, different planets, or you don't know what they are, or, it could be Russian or Chinese, or, any other nonsense that people come up with to try and rationalize this phenomenon, sure, they'll promote you. But if you are telling the truth, yeah, YouTube really suppresses my videos. So again, that reminds me, which is, I want to ask, look, I've been putting out these videos for a long time. I'm trying to do them every single day. If you appreciate the amount of time and effort I put into providing this information for you, all I ask is that you subscribe, hit the like button, and share it. All right, that's all you have to do, and I will continue to search the internet, use my time and my effort to put these videos together so that you can see all of this information that is out there. So anyways, let's go to this first video, or this first article here. Yeah, we are not alone. The UFO whistleblower speaks. Former intelligence officer makes claims of potential extraterrestrial life. Whistleblower, U.S. has quite a number of non-human vehicles. David Grush, we're definitely not alone. But I think this is the entire 41 minute interview. Let me just play a little bit of it. Oh, well, I don't think it's going to let me play.
Tonight, for the first time, a former senior military intelligence officer comes forward to say what we've only imagined is true.
You are saying to the human race, for the first time, we are not alone. We're definitely not alone.
Claims that our government...
Again, this is as much as I want to play, because I know these guys will hit me with a copyright violation if I play any more. But of course, the link to this will be in the description, so definitely check it out. Let's see, I got this video here from Reddit, something over Beijing. Look at that. Look at these other objects flying next to it. Yes, again, these aren't fireballs. I think these are our advanced neighbors. Let me play that one more time. Wow. Okay, so that's interesting. Let's go to this video here, Skinny Bob. Okay, now, yeah, this is the Skinny Bob video. I'm sure most people have seen this video. It's only 46 seconds long. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and play the whole thing. What the hell? I'll take my chances on this one. Because, yeah, whoever this guy is, right? I mean, I don't think, this is not their original video. So they were, they snagged this video from someplace. So let me go ahead and just play this whole thing. It's very interesting. Oh yeah, and one thing I want you to pay attention to is the blinking, because you got to remember, I think today, right, with today's technology, we could most likely, make that blink look real. I think, at least I think, I'm not a real, CGI expert or anything like that, but I think with today's technology, or at least technology over the last 2 or 3 years, or maybe even 5 years, I don't know, you might be able to recreate something like this. But when this video first came out, which was over 10 years ago, yeah, there's no way CGI was that good in order to recreate the blinking. So pay attention to the blinking. Yeah, real quick. Look at where his hands are, right? These hands are down close to his knees. Oh yeah, another thing I want you to realize is like, right? No life support system. This little guy is breathing our air, completely acclimated to our gravity, which tells me that, yeah, these aren't visitors. And the fact that you know that there are so many cases, right? So many ancient cave paintings of a similar type creature, that these originate from our planet. They're not visitors. You know what? They could have originally arrived from another planet, but again, from my understanding, from some of the research that I've done, these beings are organic clones, which have been designed to perform functions in space, because you know, we as human beings are not designed to work in space. We are not designed to work in a non-gravity environment, right? I've heard that it does something. Yeah, if you stay, you know, in a zero gravity environment for too long, it does something to your eyes. And if you watch any videos of any of the Russian cosmonauts who have spent a considerable amount of time in space, like, you know, more than a month, when they land, when they finally land back on Earth, they have to be taken out on a stretcher because their muscles have atrophied so much that they can't, they're too weak. The gravity on Earth is too strong. So if there is an ancient race of humans who have existed, you know, in our oceans, you know, for as long as, you know, what we've been told, and you know, and they do go out into space, you know, again, if they're humanoid, they're similar to us. Yeah, I'm sure that they too aren't designed to function in space. I mean, again, not to say that, you know, they don't have the technology to overcome that, but at least that's what I was told. Anyways, so yeah, this is the other gray alien video. Now I've seen this video, but it's really generally hard to find, and I just happened to come across this. Thankfully. Let me see what this says. So yeah, in 1987, a Mexican officer received the following footage from a secret military base located in the United States. Our informant revealed that that Mexico abides by an information exchange protocol which formally grants neighboring governments the authority to secretly solicit and exchange sensitive information regarding celestial beings, space travel, and extraterrestrial technologies. According to our sources, this video and others like it were filmed in a military base called G13, a staging facility where alien beings are tested for light sensitivity, reflexes, intelligence, and brain activity. In this clip, scientists conduct auditory tests on what appears to be an extraterrestrial being. So let me just jump forward to where we see this little dude. Okay, here we go. Let me go full screen and check this out. Yeah, you see that smooth movement? Now, again, you know, I'm pretty positive that with today's technology, this could be done in CGI, but when this video came out, CGI was not that good. Yeah, this is, you know, from over 10 million or 10 years ago. Wow, this thing got 4.6 million views. Interesting. But yeah, and notice he doesn't blink. And again, I point out, right? No life support system. Seems to be completely acclimated to our Earth's gravity, right? It doesn't seem like he's struggling, right? So yeah, I'm going to assume this is, you know, this is another a gray alien species which is being used by one of our advanced neighbors. Now remember, you know, when we talk about advanced neighbors, it's not like just one. There are multiple additional species sharing the planet with us. Again, you know, I've heard Linda Moulton Howe say that there's 4. I've heard from the Lacerda files the reptilian female, she said that there are 11 species on this planet. And then what was his name? Some other guy on one of these YouTube podcasts said that that he knows of 5. No, yeah, he didn't say that they're from Earth, but he mentions that that he's aware of 5. Again, he didn't say they're from this planet, but it, just says that they're aware of 5. And then there's another guy he talks about the 57 different species that our government is aware of. Man, these people's names are not at the tip of my tongue right now. Okay, now this video is about Carol Rosin, who used to work for Werner von Braun, and she says that that the last card is going to be an alien invasion. That our government is going to do all this stuff about global warming and climate change, which is all nonsense. They're going to pump up terrorism, and then a couple other things, but the last card, she says, is going to be an alien invasion. But let me just play a little bit of this. Same thing with this. I'm going to try and play most of it, because the same thing, I don't know whose video this is. Yeah, strange changes. Yeah, I don't, if they're copying the Stephen Greer original video, yeah, I'm not too concerned about copyright.
Good morning. My name is Carol Rosin. In 1974, after being a 6th grade school teacher, I was introduced to the late Dr. Werner von Braun in the U.S., the father of rocketry. In my first meeting with him, during that first 3.5 hours, he said to me, "Carol, you will stop the weaponization of space." And I said, teachers don't stop until June. He said, "No, you have to understand. This is February, and we have to prevent the weaponization of space because there is a lie being told to everyone that the weaponization of space is now first being based upon the evil empire, the Russians. There are many enemies," he said, "against whom we're going to build this space-based weapon system, the first of whom was the Russians, which was existing at that time. Then there would be terrorists. Then there would be third world countries. Now we call them rogue nations or nations of concern. Then there would be asteroids." And then he would repeat to me over and over, "And the last card, the last card, the last card would be the extraterrestrial threat." Well, at the time, I kind of laughed when he said asteroids, and when he said extraterrestrials, I knew I wasn't going to deal with that subject. And now we hear in the news just today, this week, that they've slid in another enemy. Only this time we're going to protect our satellites. In other words, we have to have some reason to spend these trillions, to waste these dollars on a space-based weapon system, and they're all lies. This is a system, he told me, that would never protect anyone. Even back then, he talked about suitcase bombs. He talked about chemical, viral, bacterial, biological warfare, that these space-based weapons would never protect us against. And then he told me that, in fact, if you travel around the world, which I did after he died in 1977, I met with people in over 100 countries who were friends. They didn't want to build space-based weapons. I became a space and missile defense consultant, and I worked with people around the world. I became an advisor to the People's Republic of China. They don't want to build a space-based weapon system. And he told me back then that they didn't. He said, "Go to Russia. They're considered to be the enemy." I got on a plane by myself. When I got to Russia, I had a list of people that I had read out of the newspaper. Chernenko was in office then. He was the only one I didn't get a chance to meet. They introduced me to everyone when I got there. And when I got back, I said, "Oh my Lord, this man is telling the truth. There is no threat." And I've been waiting until this day for 27 years, and I'm expecting the spin to happen, because he also explained to me that as a military strategist, as a person who worked on the MX missile, which I did later, he said, "You will find that there is going to be a spin to find some enemy against whom we have to build space-based weapons." And now we should expect the spin, because he said part of the formula for the intelligence community is if they might have a weapon, then we have to consider that they do have these weapons. So now they do have these weapons, so now we have to build these weapon systems. And that's the formula, except that it's all based on a lie. And we have witnesses here today that have shown you that these extraterrestrial beings, that these craft that have come here are now not UFOs, they're identified flying objects. And we know that they have beings in them. And we have witnesses here who have told you that they can shut down our missile silos. They can stop a rocket going into space that's a test. We have witnesses here who have worked in the classified departments who have the courage to come forward here to support what Werner von Braun told me back in 1974 to 77. And I will testify before the Congress that when I founded the Institute for Security and Cooperation in Outer Space, which I shut down a few years ago because I didn't believe we had a chance with this huge, integrated around the world, complex weapon system, that we had any chance at all of transforming that war industry into a space industry that could provide benefits, like Dr. Greer has said, of global warming. We can end that situation of that problem. We can end the energy crisis. We can build now non-polluting technologies. Werner von Braun used to tell me that we could have cars back then that drove around off the ground. He described this to me on beams so that we have no pollution on this planet. And we can solve the problems of the people that are urgent and potential, and the other animals and the other cultures on Earth and in space. And we can end the arms race without dislocating the industry jobs, without disrupting the economy, by transforming, Werner von Braun told me, the war industry into a global cooperative space industry that will provide, he said, finally, more jobs and profits on this planet than during any hot or cold wartime, more products and services that can be applied directly to solving the problems of this planet. And we can have a whole planet now that lives in peace on Earth, with all the cultures on Earth, and with all the extraterrestrial cultures in space. And these are words that Werner von Braun told me in 1974, and I will testify before the Congress under oath about everything I have said and more. Thank you.
Yeah, let me just stop right there. Let me just mention one thing, right? When she talks about a world with peace, here's something that the ruling class is very much aware of, right? There is no profit in peace compared to all of the money that can be made in the pursuit of war. And if you really want to dig deeper, look for the report from Iron Mountain. All right, this is a document that came out in, I think, 68 or 63, maybe 68, I don't remember. But anyways, yeah, just do a YouTube search for the report from Iron Mountain, and that document basically was a study to, a study done on what would happen if there was world peace, and they came to the conclusion that that world peace is not good, and they list out a bunch of reasons why. Or the benefits to a society that pursues, constant, never-ending war. And another thing, she also talks about how Russia is always made out to be the bad guy, right? If any of you guys out there are brainwashed enough to believe that Russia is our enemy, right? Please find me a video of Vladimir Putin threatening the United States. Right, and then and then look for videos of some of our foreign the delegates, right? Like Anthony Blinken, or I can't think of this other woman's name, but yeah, all these people who are constantly threatening Putin and talking about regime change. Or yeah, like Lindsey Graham. Talking about how it's so good that Russians are dying when he's having a conversation with Zelensky. Yeah, remember, our country, the number one export of our country is weapons of war, right? And I think that there's a saying, right, that there was once a time when we used to manufacture weapons to fight wars or something like that, but now we manufacture wars to sell weapons. Just something to think about. Anyways, let's go to this video here. Yeah, you know what? Video is getting kind of long. I'm just gonna have to get through this real quick. Oh, geez, I'm only halfway through. Yeah, so this is James Fox's The Phenomenon. You know, where he interviews a bunch of different people. Let me just play a little bit of this.
I couldn't believe it because what I was seeing wasn't possible.
It was vertical, horizontal, move away from us, back towards us, appear somewhere else.
My God, you know, well, but it was exciting.
To full combat readiness and began a launch sequence without any authentication codes. After 15 heart-stopping seconds, the countdown to a potential Armageddon ceased as abruptly as it had started.
Anyways, I don't want to play too much of this. Link will be in the description, but definitely check it out. Let's see. Now, this is a video about these 12 alleged discoveries suggest the existence of giants. Again, you know, like I'm saying, you know, a lot of this stuff. Yeah, here, like, look at this person here, right? These guys here, I'd say they're probably 5'6", 5'7", maybe, which would make this person, wow, like 8 or 9 feet tall. That's pretty tall. Yeah, like in like this footprint, yeah, it's just much too stylized. You know, this is something that someone created. This isn't a real footprint. Same thing with this one. It's not a real footprint. Okay, now here are, you know, these old articles, right, of people finding giants. But again, you know, a lot of times, you know, the people, what they would consider giant is someone like 8 or 9 feet tall. This, I believe, is a fake photo. This one, I'm not positive about. Yeah, now look at this skull. Look at that. Just imagine what this person actually looked like in real life. Yeah, now this is about a story of some soldiers that I think they were in Afghanistan where they encountered a red-haired giant. Oh, and then here this is supposedly the mummified remains of a two-headed giant. I know I've done stories on that. I don't know about this. I don't even know if that's real. Let's see now. Yeah, I remember doing a video about this. This is supposedly the bones of a 25-foot giant. And I'm not even positive if these bones are real. This might have been like some kind of recreation. Yeah, look at that. Again, this is, you know, this to me is a real footprint because like the next one I'm going to show, right? Whoever took this step, you can see how the mud squeezed through the toes, which would, you know, which is what would happen if you were to walk through hardened mud. Yeah, the same thing with this one, right? You can see how the mud squeezed through the toes, which would tell me that, you know, that's real. Let's see, these look real to me. Yeah, now this is a illustration of some of the bones that we have found. I think down here, maybe no, this I think is a real human here. These are tiny people. And then up to like 30, I think this person was supposed to be like 35 foot tall. Some bones. Oh yeah, so here, this was a finger that was some Egyptian guy had it, of a, you know, supposed giant. And, you know, even in some of the Egyptian hieroglyphics, they draw, you know, what appear to be beings that are much taller. And some, you know, some people are going to say that they were taller because they were, you know, they represented royalty. But I'm not 100% convinced about that. Okay, so let's go to this video here. Yeah, this is, like I said, this is Medvedev when he was prime minister, when Putin let him become prime minister for a little while. And he talks about, yeah, you know, what world leaders getting a book or a report on the extraterrestrial beings, but let me just play it. I'll read the subtitles. It says, reporter, Mr. Prime Minister, you know everything. Alien visited Earth? I'll tell you, the first and last time, together with nuclear suitcase, presidents bring folder, top secret, and it is entirely devoted to the strangers who visited our planet. The report is provided by the Special Service, which handles the control of aliens in our country. Again, you know what? You hear the juxtaposition there, where he says visitors, but aliens in our country. You know, I just thought about this. If people knew that these aliens were already, or that the aliens or these beings originated from this planet, right? Then the Space Force and our government wouldn't be able to use the excuse that we're being invaded by extraterrestrials and then again, you know, spend all that money on weaponizing space. After management term, 2 folders and a nuclear small suitcase are transferred to the new president. You can receive more detailed information having watched a Chronicle documentary film of the same name. Yeah, you notice how this reporter is laughing because she thinks he's joking? Yeah, he talks about men in black. Reporter, ooh, you know, how many? How many of them among us? I can't tell. Oops, I didn't get that last part. How many of them among us? I can't tell because the panic will begin. Yeah, see, so he's acknowledging they're already here. They walk amongst us. So now this is the actual documentary that he's referring to, Men in Black Russian UFO documentary promoted by Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev. Yeah, I don't think he promoted it. He just happened to mention it.
Странные визитеры стирали ему память. По словам Виктора, он знает о роли людей в черном от самих инопланетян.
Это высокоразвитые
These are highly developed humanoid robots.
Гуманоиды. Вот, они обладают большим интеллектуалом, они обладают большими возможностями. Вот, они знают просчитывать ситуацию на несколько шагов вперед.
Yeah, because some of these guys can read our minds. Anyways, I don't want to play too much of this. Link will be in the description. Check that out. Let's go to this link here. Yes, this is just some images that I found on my Facebook that shows this opening in the side of a mountain or rock face. Yeah, now, I have no idea how long this has been up there. There's no context, but if this has been up there for a long time, there's no way modern humans, or you know, even humans like from the 1800s, could have built it. At least I don't think. There could be possibility. I don't know. I'm going to say no, but I find that very, very interesting. Let's go to this article here. This is a 50-year-old report backs Pentagon whistleblower's claim on UFO, objects of non-human origin, a cover-up, a secret program. A report by an Australian physicist echoes the fresh allegations of whistleblower David Grush, and yet this authentic and easily accessible document dates back to 1971. Yeah, so again, you know, I'm seeing some YouTube stories about how the NASA is finally going to start studying UFOs. And again, that's nonsense. They've been studying them. You know, like the CIA and NASA was most likely specifically created to study this phenomenon. Let's see, for the U.S. Air Force, extraterrestrials are the only explanation. Harry Turner got off to a strong start. The early analysis of UFO reports by U.S. Air Force intelligence indicated that real phenomenon were being reported which had flight characteristics so far in advance of U.S. aircraft that only an extraterrestrial origin could be envisioned. Again, you know, they keep saying extraterrestrial. No, they're not extraterrestrial. If we've been seeing these things for as long as we've been seeing them, it's because they originate from this planet. Here, a campaign to discredit UFOs, that we know that happened. Secret agenda, complacent allies and discordant voices. Anyways, link to that will be in the description. Yeah, here's a Daily Mail article. Pentagon whistleblower says the Vatican is aware of the existence of non-human intelligences and helped the U.S. retrieve a downed UFO from Italian dictator Mussolini at the end of World War II. Same thing, David Grush. Like I'm telling you, man, this guy's creating some waves, some pretty massive waves here, because this is getting a lot of play. David Grush, 36, has spoken out to say the U.S. has run a top-secret UFO retrieval program for decades and claimed the Vatican was involved in first UFO crash. He said the first ever recovery of a spaceship was in Magenta, Italy in 1933 and was held by Mussolini's Italian government until 1944-1945. Grush claimed it was partially intact and held at Air Base until the U.S. retrieved it after a tip from Pope Pius XII following the collapse of fascist Italian regime. The Pentagon whistleblower has claimed the Vatican is aware of the existence of non-human intelligences and helped the U.S. retrieve a downed UFO from Italian dictator Benito Mussolini at the end of the Second World War. So yes, that's what this article is about here. He said the UFO was partially intact and held at a secure airbase until the U.S. retrieved it following the collapse of the fascist Italian regime. Anyway, so I've said this before. I think the main reason why the U.S. has military bases all over the planet, unlike any other country, is because we are in charge. We've taken the lead on trying to capture any of these crash UFOs, right? And I've said this before, again, I don't remember who it was, but they said, right? Think about whenever, whether it's a private pilot or a commercial aircraft or even like a ship, right? If they encounter any type of mechanical issues or a problem, what do? They send out an SOS, right? Yeah, they send out an SOS signal. Well, any of the UFOs that also, right, whenever they have any type of issue or they know they're going to crash, they do the same thing. They send out an SOS, right? And because, right, they're not coming from these, planets that are gazillion miles away, right? It's a race. This guy said it, that it's a race for our military to try and get to the crash site before the aliens come and try and retrieve their craft. And remember on the Virginia UFO incident, right? James Fox tells a story of how a lot of the people in the town saw another UFO, and it looked as if that UFO was looking for something. That's what they said, right? That it seemed as if they were looking for something because they were most likely looking for for those beings. Again, if they're coming from these long distance planet, how are they able to get to our planet so soon? I understand there could be wormholes and things like that, but and that's definitely a possibility, right? But we're not alone on the planet. Anyways, so so here is this clip from 10 years ago. I cannot believe it. Yeah, 1.6 thousand views. This is Vatican's Corrado Balducci says aliens exist and describe them. Now, same thing with this one, because I'm pretty sure this guy got this off of a TV show or something. But he's not going to worry about copyright, neither will I. I'm going to go ahead and play this whole thing.
A quanti sostengono che
let me go back again. Let me go back to what's the question here. Father Balducci, what would you answer to those who claim that aliens are already among us? We can't think any longer. It's true or it's false. They are real or they are fake. We believe it or we don't. Nowadays, there are several considerations that allow us to say with assurance that the existence of these beings is real. We can't have doubts. Maybe we can say that over 100 phenomenon, even if we say 99 are real and one are not real and one is real, there is that one that makes us say that certain phenomenon do exist. This is the first problem. It is not any longer. It's not any longer within the sphere of human caution to doubt. Because cautiousness tells us to be cautious, but not to negate. What are the consequences, especially under the religion and philosophy point of view? There aren't any negative consequences. Everything is contemplated. The Lord hasn't revealed us all things. So we can very well think that the same human redemption, Christ is always the center of the universe. But in the universe, there is everything. Not only the world, there are thousands of stars. There are thousands of galaxies. And there are, I don't want to say numbers here, without doubt, we can think, and with rational at this point, and we get here at the second question, how do we explain them? The existence of other inhabited worlds. In which way inhabited and by whom? You see, there is a very old saying that natura non faciunt saltum. Nature don't make jumps. We have the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, the human kingdom, and the angelic realm. And only think the 4 realms that we know. 3 are natural, and we can see them. Between man, the human being, and angels, there is a big step. With this argument of the appropriateness, very well illustrated by St. Thomas, one of the main theologians, it's probable, it's likely, that between men that has already a spirit within him, but poor spirit be subject to the matter in which at the evening we feel that we have to go to sleep. In contrary, soul doesn't need to rest. Even a small, it's so locked up, the angel who is only spirit, it's likely that there are other beings which have a soul, let's say, that is less linked, less subordinate to the physical body. And the soul of this kind it's obvious that they can accomplish progress that we are unable of, even if we made a lot of them in recent something. Yeah, anyways, I think, this is a shorter clip, but essentially, what he's saying, I've heard a longer version of this, is that, again, his interpretation, because he has to explain everything in the context of religion and the idea that there is that there's a greater spiritual being that we're subordinate to. He says that, that if there's a God, that God didn't just make human beings, that, when you consider the size of this universe and all of the other planets out there, again, that his God most likely created beings to inhabit all of those other planets. So, yeah, he says that there are brothers. If God created us and God created these other beings, then they are our brothers and they have a soul and all this, this other stuff, again, in the context of religion. But anyways, that is going to be it for this video. I'm going to say once again, ask once again, if you appreciate the time and effort that I put into providing this information for you, all I ask is, that you merely hit the like button, share it, and subscribe, because it would really help me out, because, YouTube ain't helping me out. YouTube is suppressing me. I can see how there are hours that go by when I don't even get a single view on my on some of my videos, which is kind of wild. But anyways, yep, that's going to be it. Until next time, take care.